Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for coming, those of you in the audience, and welcome those of you who are watching on camera. This is a board meeting of September 11th. Very meaningful day. Where were you on September 11th? Okay. Clear Creek Conservancy, I noticed that.
I was not sure too long.
No, Dwayne.
Dwayne's not here, so I'm assuming we're not going to have a report. No one else knows anything about Clear Creek. Seems like their project's going along pretty steadily. Floyd Township Fire Department, I think Jeff Brooks is in the back room.
Jeff Brooks, Floyd Township Fire Department, at 18 runs for the month of August, and we now have a flag disposal box in front of the fire department over by our flag for disposal of American flags and state flags as well.
Cool.
And the third day, after 3 days was up, I took 8 flags over the American Legion. Because then the flags will be retired properly at the American Legion. They have burning process they do, and once they get that their presentations done, then they take the ashes and they bury them as per federal.
Cool.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff. Anything from Neighborhood Watch?
I do.
All right.
The Neighborhood Watch will be sponsoring an auto car show on Saturday, October 7th, put on by Just Our Time Construction. Entry fee is at $10.30, and the entry fee cost will be $20. There will be 5 different classification awards given. If anyone interested, bring your vehicle. All you need to do is just show up, register, and show off what you have. Make your plans to attend the Holiday Bazaar again this year, sponsored by the Neighborhood Watch. This event will be held on November 18th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. right here at the clubhouse facility. And then finally, the Neighborhood Watch members will be meeting this Wednesday, September 13th at 7 p.m. right here in this room.
Thank you, Ken. HLCS, Rick Miller.
Well, we were able to install our new printing equipment a little bit ahead of schedule, so if you haven't seen the September issue, pick one up because we're extremely pleased with the results. Got us to very near the magazine quality I've wanted since the day I took over. I'm real proud of it.
That's great. Congratulations, Rick. A lot of hard work there. Hellneck, Jan, you have anything?
Jansley, 65 Pittsburgh. We just finished the garage sale and food sales. We did very well. I will tell you what's going to happen with the funds, the monies from that during open forum. So we're pleased that those 3 days are over. We had a lot of wonderful stuff donated, and I think 17 different volunteers, so it took a lot of teamwork to pull it off. So it was very successful. We have a wine fest coming up Saturday, September 23rd. I believe that there are still some reservations, but not many for that. So that's from 7 to 9 over in the Activity Center on the wine fest. There's also going to be a wine exchange, so if you don't like the bottle of wine you have, you can bring yours and get a different bottle. You can do that. Then October 28th is Trunk or Treat, so that gets you through the rest of this month and next month. Okay, anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Jan.
Okay.
Thank you all for your hard work this summer. Everything you were involved in seems to be successful. And you
We had
guys,
some food competition, though. We're looking at maybe changing our menu some because a lot of more people are serving food out here during those sales, and so we may have to
may have to beef it
change up
up.
our menu, yeah.
No pun intended.
That's right, beef it up.
Meatloaf sandwich, sounds delicious.
All right, POA Security, Ken Roselle.
Traffic stops 15, trespassing complaints 3, Suspicious vehicles, 1. Weapons complaint, 1. Administrative calls, 3. Citizen assist, 1. Medical assist, 1. Domestic battery, 2. Alarms, 3. Cardiac arrest, 1. Disturbance, 2. Road hazard, 1. Lockout, 2. Psychiatric issue, 1. Child custody issue, 2. Traffic accident with property damage, 1. For a total of 40 calls.
Thank you. I don't see anybody from the garden club. Things are growing. Presentation of agenda. I think we've got our agenda down. Anybody have any additions or corrections? I'll move along. Presentation of minutes. I'll take a motion for the August 14th board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? I'll take a motion for August 28th operations meeting. This is September. We have not shown you the minutes on that yet, right?
Well,
They're appended.
They're
yeah, they're
here?
They're
Okay.
here, but we are.
They're in my stack?
They're in
You
your
guys
stack.
have not had a chance to read through those.
And we're also missing number 2.
Okay, so why don't we just hold off on the August 28th operations meeting agenda and put that in next year's, or next month's, next year, I don't care. Next month's board meeting for, under the presentation of minutes. Can we do that? Good. All right.
October.
October. Treasurer's report, Dennis Barrow.
Okay, total income for the month of August, $133,694. We had total expenses of $167,783, so we had negative net income for the month of $34,087, which is a very seasonal thing. It's pretty typical this time of year. And that means year-to-date, we've got total income of $1,475,899, and total expenses, $1,192,934, for a total year-to-date net income of $282,965. We've got short-term cash available of $831,091. We've got CDs and money market funds of $209,966, for a total of cash available of $1,041,057. And let's see, and our net cash flow for the month is a negative $19,294, which is typical. So there you go.
Thank you, Dennis. Let's move on to the board committee reports. Dennis, you might as well take the lead with A&E.
All right, A&E, another busy month. Over the last month, the A&E committee approved 4 new houses, 2 new garages, 2 new docks, a boat lift, 2 room additions, a boat canopy, 3 fences, and a deck extension. And I will say there are also several proposed projects that homeowners had brought in that there just wasn't sufficient information for them to make an informed decision on. So they asked that they go back and get the rest of the information, and they bring them back for approval. So everything that's brought in doesn't get approved. They do a really good job of making sure that everyone has their T's crossed and their I's dotted.
Thank you, Dennis. Rick Stevens with the campground?
Rick Stevens, 95 Victory Hill. The last meeting of the month will be this Saturday at 10 o'clock.
Thank you. Jeff Blades, do you have anything from cleanup?
Yeah, Jeff Blades, 335 Patriots Landing. Sarah Lagner, chairperson of the cleanup committee, asked me to report to the board that the clean sweep activity is scheduled for this Saturday, September the 16th, from 8 a.m. till 2 p.m. at the maintenance building. She wanted me to remind everyone that we will not accept any chemicals, paint, or toxic items. We have 3 dumpsters that will be provided by Jack's. And she also said that residents throughout our community are welcome to help volunteer and unload loads that are brought in. Those volunteers would not have to work the duration. They could work whatever they wanted to work, but help is needed. Also, this event will count towards the community hours for any high school seniors that may be applying for the scholarship. She said she'd be happy to sign the paperwork if they come out and help that day. On behalf of Sarah Lackner, she says thank you.
Thanks.
I will be picking up 3 trustees to help that day.
Okay, thank you, Ken. That's a big, big help. That's all I have. Thanks.
Can they come by my house afterwards?
They'll do anything for food, other than a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, what they normally get.
I've got great food. All right. Lake Committee, we have anything, Rick? Mary Petruzzi's not here?
We're gonna skip government?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, Rick Olson. I put a check mark next to government before I moved on. My fault.
knew you had
I
it
am
wrong.
so
Like, great, I
sorry.
went to these meetings for nothing.
Just waiting with bated breath about your government.
Big report. Rick Olson, 51 Mill Springs. Not a lot of substantial news from the commissioners' meetings. They did start the paving on Betsy Ross and Heritage Drive on the east side today.
I think AJ is in charge of that.
I have a lot of comments that I don't want on camera.
After I made the call, they got better.
After all the tar that's all over all of our trucks right now, I'm very happy.
Well, they were better at making traffic.
So there's no dust this time though. So, but anyway, so they're moving along. I talked to Clint Maddox today about the chip and seal program, and they won't give me an answer about when they're gonna do that. And they're also saying that they're running out of millings, which they were saying last year, and they don't know what the alternative is at this point. So he said he was gonna talk to Jim Peck and get back to me, but he never did, which I didn't expect. So, so I don't know what the plan is after that, but we'll see. Stay tuned. And I'm going to be attending a local road safety plan this week. I don't know the details of it, but it has something to do with obtaining more funding for the county for road repairs. So,
Thanks, Rick.
any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we move to the Lake Committee.
I have a couple things I can share from the Lake Committee, Rick Miller, 26 Gettysburg. The solar lights for the boys were purchased and delivered. You should have them. The Feast Ski and Fun event for next year, the date has been set for July 27. And we're looking at having a DJ during the day events and a live band early evening.
Thanks.
You
Thank
bet.
you. Clean water, Phil, you have anything?
Just a couple of comments, Phil McKinley, 330 Patriots Landing. Just kind of some observations. One observation was that when my wife and I were out cruising the lake, we saw somebody in a kayak make the effort to pick up some trash out of the lake, and that person happened to be Paul Ford. So, thank you. We must.
He didn't see me dump it in the lake.
We shouldn't be overly confident because things could change, but I thought it was a little bit ironic that guys tend to close one of their beaches in Fishers for excessive E. coli. I don't know exactly what the numbers were, but I know in the past I've seen that most beach managers don't close beaches until the level is about 400 parts per deciliter. And our average this last time when we measured it was just over 4. So in other words, about 1%. of the expected E. coli that they may have experienced. An observation about weed and algae treatment this year. It seems like the kudos go on the algae side. The water temperature got up to something over 88 degrees and the algae was very well controlled. Weeds, not so much. And it's kind of ironic that some people have thought that in a year after the lake was lowered, weeds might even be less. But there have been a lot of weed growth this year, to the point that in some coves, people have trouble operating, particularly vehicles that are electric powered or pedal powered, without totally getting their colors messed up. So just thinking ahead to the future, algae, good job. Weeds, we might want to think of some other options.
Thank you. Long-term planning. Summer, you have anything?
We might have on the next board meeting, but so far, I'll just say that September 20th is our next meeting.
Okay. Hopefully I'll get the lawyer to give me some information before then. Siltation, again, Dwayne Kelly's not here.
They're just working up in the East Fork dredging,
Okay,
just working off some of the rest of the remaining monies we had for the year.
east,
Right
down here,
Yeah,
at the,
Party Cove. or
okay,
whatever you
at
wanna call
the,
it.
at the end of it?
No, out
Just-
here,
Oh, okay.
right in front of the boat slips.
Oh, okay, okay.
They've been working there
The-
diligently, pulling out truckload after truckload of dirt.
That place needs it, it needs it.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. So I think we had Tom, you're gonna remember better than me, 20-ish thousand we had left at the end of the year. I don't know.
Okay.
Something out, I don't know, but they're working on it. Dirt is coming out of the lake. How about that?
All right, thanks for that. Electric committee, obviously no report. There has been highlights, put in a suggestion. Anybody interested in running through the board? We have 3 positions open every year. This year, Nina and AJ and Summer Ramsey are leaving the board, and 2 of them are running again for the board. And so if anybody is interested in running for the board, now's your chance. Stop by the office and get your application and your signature pad. Manager's report, Ken Roselle.
The dock extension at the marina is underway the last couple of weeks. It's approximately 80% complete, and I anticipate it to be completed by the end of this week. At times, we could use about 5 more maintenance employees, but the 5 I have, they do an absolute great job. Doing projects like this in-house saves us thousands of dollars versus hiring a contractor. I would also like to thank the Lake Committee for funding the money that will be spent on dock bumpers that will be added to the new marina dock extension. Mike and Betsy Freiberger are our campground host. They have notified me that they are not returning next year. I'd like to thank both of them for all their efforts this season. If there's anyone that is interested in getting paid to camp and also manage the facility next year, please contact me at the office. The pool is officially closed. I'd like to thank Ashley Land for extending the pool last week for the additional heat that we've had. Kim Curran, running the pool operation this season, did so without any major problems. Pool entrance was up 8% over last year. So thank you to Kim for a great season. Also, I'd like to thank the office manager, April Land, and assistant Jolene Pfaff for their diligence for collecting late assessments. In June, I announced there was 106 late assessments that had not been paid. July, that number went down to 65. As of today, there are only 10 remaining that have not paid and are currently in collections with the attorney. So nicely done, ladies. Psalms number that I usually report, I have not received any numbers for them. They had some office change, and so they're running a little bit behind. Lastly, this community is, most of us, people that's been around a while know who she is. Lastly, this community has recently lost a true matriarch, Mary Williams. For many, many years, Mary was heavily involved in several areas of this community. She was involved with several committees, cleanup committee being one of them, and she was not timid to inform you to clean up your junk or mow your grass. The people that laugh know exactly what I'm talking about. Mary's heart was fully devoted to Heritage Lake. This community needs a few more Mary Williams in it. Rest in peace, my dear friend, and you and your charisma will surely be missed. Thank you.
Great report. The people of this community really have no idea what the office goes through to pry money out of some people. Yeah, job well done. Job well done. And as far as Mary Williams go, what a personality.
Can you repeat
What
those
a-
numbers, the June numbers, and the current was 10 remaining late assessments?
Yeah, it was, in June, I reported there was 106 late assessments that had not been paid.
106, that's fantastic.
And it went down to 65 in July, and as of today, there was 10 remaining.
Awesome.
Probably the best year ever.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
We got down close to that last year, but it has just gotten better and better every year. You know, we just kind of took a stance that if you're gonna live here, you're gonna pay. Everybody else does. So.
Thank you, Ken. Old business. Marina Clubhouse paving. Okay. As you all know, we have received bids from 4 different companies to repave the marina parking lot and repave the office parking lot. I'll start out by saying infrastructure at Heritage Lake is declining. Once you get infrastructure, that's the obvious next step. It declines because people use it. And we have been using everything at Heritage Lake for a very long time. Infrastructure is the largest expenditure any community ever has. We mow more grass than 50 condominium projects in Indianapolis. We maintain more land than any projects that have higher assessments and have higher money coming in. Infrastructure is getting to the point where it is going to choke this community to death. You hear this treasurer talk about, we have $1 million. That's not even going to scratch the surface. Right now, we have $600,000 worth of blacktop that we need to drastically put down. That's not counting other areas in our community. And we're constantly dealing with trees. We're constantly dealing with other infrastructure around the community. We have suggestions of infrastructure possibilities. Everybody wants to walk around the community, but they don't want to walk on the roads. That's going to cost money. And that is a big part of infrastructure. So keep that in mind, all you people out there, when we start talking about possibilities in the future. Within the next 5 years, we're going to have to spend some money. We're just going to have to. Now, next year is 2024. We're going to bring the fees back down because we promised we'd bring the fees back down. Now, it's up to the board in 2025, whatever they're going to do, but we're going to keep our promise. We promised the community that we would bring the fees back down, so next year your boat fees are going to be less than they were last year, and so are the boat slips. But I want the community to keep in mind that the infrastructure is not going to, the desire and the need is not going to stop. So, under normal circumstances, in any type of a business, when you have a waiting list for something, you increase the price. You don't lower the price, you increase the price. And we have a waiting list for about everything that we do out here. So just keep that in mind. 24 is going to be the year to relax because your fees are coming back down. After that, It might be up to you, who knows? It's gonna be up to the board, that's for sure. So just keep all that in mind. It's not a wait and see type thing. It is going to happen. We have to spend the money. So here we are, the marina and clubhouse paving. We've gotten plenty of bids. We've talked to all the people that brought the bids in. Ken's done all the legwork. We've interviewed these people. We've had different conversations with these people. We are not going to take the minimum bid. We are going to take the middle of the road bid, not the highest, but not the lowest. And we are going to use a company, if the board agrees, we are going to use a company to do the clubhouse parking lot first this year. We have budgeted for it. We don't have enough money from that budget to complete the project, but we do have some extra money that we can throw in there. And if the board agrees, we're going to do we've contacted the company we've chosen. We've all talked about these companies. We're going to contact the company that we've chosen, and we're going to set it up for this fall, very quickly. And we're going to do the clubhouse parking lot all the way down to the tennis courts. So that gravel road that goes down in the back is going to be paved, okay? And then two things. We can afford it this year, plenty. We can afford it. And the second thing is we get a chance to see the company we've chosen before we go over to the marina and spend almost $500,000. And the marina project is going to cost less, right around $400,000. But it's going to be all paved. There's going to be no gravel left over at the marina. So if the board agrees, I would like to take a motion to contact the company and approve them to come out and resurface the clubhouse parking, including the drive down to the tennis courts.
How much is that portion?
It would be, the company would be the Hasco. One thing that I wanted to add, it's the only company that would answer back when I would call and ask questions. There's a company probably still waiting on a call from, or answering a call from him. But the Hasco had, his quote was $187,000 to do all of this here. Now, I budgeted $150,000 for asphalting this year, so it's.
I move we approve.
I make a motion that we hire Hasco to do the paving as described by the estimate for the cost of the estimate, as proposed.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? We will have another vote before, by email, or at the next board meeting, depending on the schedule for Hasco.
Who was the second vote, or second on the motion? Rick, okay.
He did say that he felt like that was a good implementation plan to do one and the other one in maybe next year. But he said he could do this one in late October or early November.
So we will have a chance to have the second vote in the next meeting. Since
And they know that getting the rest of it hinges on how good of a job they do here. So that they should be pretty conscientious, I would think.
All right, let's move to the emergency generator. My name's on it, but I think that's, you're good, right?
Well,
We're still,
we're kind of going back to the Midwest Generator Solutions. They're the ones that come out, gave me a very detailed quote. I've reached out to 3 other companies, not heard back from any of them. Maybe I shouldn't tell them what I want. I don't
Ken,
know.
is that the one that the Conservancy uses?
Yes. Yes. His quote for a generator to be placed down by the activity center, that's where the power source is, to set it there, do some rewiring and wire the well out of this building instead of the activity center, and pretty much just run the lights and the water heater over there, and pretty much just all the rest of the power would be run over here to run this building.
And the total on that?
Oh, the total was $19,801.
How many watts or KVA is that?
Well, you have your information from
Not
us,
with me,
okay.
sorry.
Says a 26 kW Generac with 200 amp transfer switch. Well, that's an additional 200, I'm not an electrician. 800, let's say Bonham Hill, 800 amp disconnect pedestal. I don't know, Amy. Well, right here's the,
It's good. It's a good one.
yeah, it's,
Turns the lights on.
26 kW.
if that tells you anything, I'm not an electrician.
I guess,
If you wanted, he said I did make note here that if you wanted a generator for both places for whatever reason, it would be an additional $11,000 to have two. But it would hook up to the 1,000 gallon propane tank that we have right down there. He said it would run both buildings.
I move we approve.
I second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Have a second vote in October?
I noticed it said, notes here, it says run a 200 amp panel.
Plus, it's got all the installation pads and stuff here.
Answer your reply.
So that will be,
Talk to us.
so the marina paving, or the clubhouse paving, excuse me, will be old business A for the October meeting. The emergency generator for the second vote will be old business B for the October meeting. Under new business, we have the portable storage units. Dennis Barrow.
Okay, this has been a topic that we've kicked around for a few weeks now, and the board has discussed it a couple of times and came up with a couple of suggested tweaks they might want to incorporate in the language. So this is the latest version they've given to us. What I'd like to do is read it and then open the floor for discussion. And if we don't have any more discussion, I'll probably make a proposal for a vote. So anyway, portable storage units. Portable storage units, any, are permitted to be placed on the driveway of a residence on a temporary basis less than 6 months for items from inside the home, provided the following items are completed properly. 1, the homeowner will need to apply for a permit, a $20 fee, see Rule 112 for application timing and process, and receive approval prior to placement. The permitted application should include 1, a plot plan or drawing showing the proposed location of the storage unit and the location of the house and driveway. 2, the time that is being applied for. 3, the intended use of the unit. And 4, justification for the length of time being requested. If the unit is needed for a time longer than the original approved estimate, then the permitting process must be repeated, fee waived, as before. So that's the latest language. So I'll just open it up for discussion with the board members, and you got any questions, I believe all of you should have received a copy of it via email. And if we don't have any further discussion, I make a motion that we approve this language for portable storage units.
You can make a motion, and then we can still discuss it if you want to do that. That would open it up for discussion.
Okay, either
in a
way.
second.
Either way.
So you made a motion, is that?
Mhm.
Okay.
Second?
Second.
You seconded? Any discussion before we vote? All those in favor?
Hold on.
I guess we have discussion before we vote.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I was listening, but I was just reading just to make
Go
sure
ahead.
I
Take your time.
So this will all go through A&E.
Didn't you email and say it looks good?
I mean, I read it. I just, I've slept since then. Yeah, I'm good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
This doesn't
Since it
require a
is-
second vote.
Yes, it does. It's a rule. It's a rule change, so it will require a second vote. It will be old business C in October. And between now and the next board meeting, if anybody that's on camera or anybody else has a problem with this, you got a month to talk about it. Covenant update. I really don't have much update. All I can say at this point is that the board is working on a direction to hopefully improve a 50-year covenant. We have not gotten to the point where we are completely identified yet. I hope by the October meeting to have more information on that. I will say this, the premise of our endeavors over the last 2 years have been to take the decision-making process off of our shoulders into the neighborhood and give the last voice to the members of the neighborhood. How that will be defined will be up to the neighborhood.
A voting system,
But I'm sorry?
like a voting system of some kind.
A new way. It's impossible for the neighborhood at this point to vote on any important issue. We have always been at least 500 votes short of any type of approval or disapproval from this neighborhood. We are en route to try and get that changed. And the only way to get that changed is to suggest a more logical way this community can vote. In other words, put a new level on how many votes this community needs to make an approval of a very important issue. I will have more information moving forward. The only reason I don't have all that information tonight is because I'm waiting to hear on a final decision. So, and this is something we've been working on for a long time. It's nothing that, and again, it's basically our goal is to let the community vote on important issues. And, with the realization that we are responsible for prudent decisions moving forward in this community to keep it running smoothly. And we feel as a board, and the last board, and the board prior to that, felt that we need to shift that responsibility to the homeowners at Heritage Lake. So that's what we're working on, and I'll have more information later.
Is that old D?
What's that?
We do old D or new?
That will be old business, D, for October. October's gonna be busy.
Jam packed.
jam-packed. And we are now into, unless the board has anything else, open forum. Yes, sir, Phil McKinley.
Phil McKinley, 230 Patriots Landing. I heard you do a vote on portable storage units, but I haven't heard a definition. What are you talking about when you say portable storage units?
Like the pods, people have pods in their driveway for years. It's a way to get a shed. They put a pod in their driveway. Well, we get a lot of complaints about that.
Nothing with wheels.
Nothing with wheels.
It seems like nothing with wheels, okay? It seems like that needs to be defined at some point in whatever proposal you adopt, because the language seems kind of vague at this point.
I think the reason for the vague language, if I can step on this, was I asked the same question last ops meeting, and when we kicked it back over, and it was intentionally left vague so that people can't say, oh, well, it's a pod, or it's a storage shed, or it's a pack rat, or whatever. If we made it too specific, then the A&E committee might have their hands tied as far as being able to determine whether or not that box unit should be approved or disapproved. So we left it ambiguous a little bit, or not ambiguous, vague on purpose, so that the A&E committee can do their job and approve it or disapprove it based on the merit of what you're using it for.
On the other hand, people who are trying to follow the rules need to understand what the rules
All
are.
they have
So
to
if you
do is
go to
go
the-
to the A&E meeting.
Go to the A&E committee meeting. If you say, hey, I need a storage thing because I'm doing a kitchen remodel and I gotta put half my kitchen inside somewhere that I don't wanna put in my garage, you go to the A&E committee, they'll say, this is the standards in which you can propose what you think you need, because some people might need a 20-foot trailer box thing, some people may need a 10, some people may need a 40-footer, maybe they got a big house, I don't know, but we're just trying to not have it be any one specific size or one specific type, so that people can say, well, I don't have that specific type, so either they can't use it or they can
So
use
you're
it.
thinking about some kind of like, is it a pod that's sitting there on the driveway on the ground?
Correct. Or like one of those, they come on like a semi, they look like metal
Slide it
shipping,
off and-
like a shipping container or whatever type deal, or the, like an old semi trailer. I mean, I've seen a whole bunch of different choices.
I mean, if you say that, something on four wheels is allowed, is not allowed, you gotta get a permit, someone will figure out a way to take one of the wheels off. Say, well, it's only got three wheels. I mean, that sounds absurd, but people look for ways to get around the system like that.
Yeah, and whatever you want to do to follow the rules is you just go to the A&E committee and you bring a picture of what you got and you ask them, is this allowed? And they say yea or nay.
Yeah, I would like to address, I was one that I like this. It's like if you said you wanted to let people bring a seat, and then you tried to define a seat, or that seats aren't allowed, and you say, okay, well, we don't allow seats, but somebody brings something in. We kind of got it so that they have to follow and comply with all these four requirements. Those are the conditions, and therefore, the A&E's gonna know exactly what it is they're talking about, and at that point, we trust the A&E committee to do the right thing and be fair. So I'm comfortable with letting the A&E committee make that decision a whole lot better than we can in this room, and then make it ironclad and applicable to all when we have a very good committee that can handle it.
I know my reaction when I read it, I wasn't able to make the last meeting, I was out of town. But when I read this, I just had no idea what was meant by portable storage units. So it seems like there needs to be some communication if this is the change in the rule of what we're talking about, because I certainly couldn't tell from what was in the minutes from the last meeting.
But if you wanted to have a portable storage unit, let's say at your house, and then you look at the rule and you go, well, I don't know what I can have, but I'll find out. So the A&E committee would be the ones that would help you with that, okay? So that your understanding with the A&E committee is the same as Tom's, with the A&E committee. If we put a rule in place, more specific, it may not be, see? It's just, I'd rather err on the side of freedom than the side of just, this is ironclad like this, and then somebody tries to violate it.
Yeah, in the A&E committee, I mean, their goal is to get things approved. I mean, they're gonna be logical and rational through the process, and, you know, I think if someone has something they wanna use that they think might be considered a storage unit, then you just go to A&E committee and you ask them, and these chances are they're gonna say, okay, but if it's a pod that you're gonna sit in your driveway for the next 2 years, it's probably not gonna pass.
If anyone goes to the A&E committee and is not approved for whatever reason of the storage unit, they have the right to appeal, and then it comes to us. So there's different levels, yes.
Rick Olson, 51 Mill Springs. Dennis, I think you said that it has to be on the driveway? Is that?
I believe it.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
right in there.
Okay.
That it has to be
On the driveway of a residence, yeah.
Okay, there was somebody in our community that had one, maybe still has one, I can't remember, off of the driveway. It was about the only way that he could do it. So I'm really indifferent, but I just wondered if you discussed that.
I did not set in on that discussion, but I think, you know, typically what would happen if that was something that the A&E committee wasn't comfortable approving, they would, it would become a variance that would go before the board, and if it makes sense as to why it has to be that way, the board could approve it.
Sure, okay, makes sense.
When you read it, it says it's permitted to be placed on the driveway. Doesn't say it's required to be.
Oh, okay. I just thought I heard Dennis say that.
So, yeah, so.
And that's intentional, because if you've got something sitting in your driveway, you're probably not gonna let it sit for longer than 6 months. Probably, not a guarantee.
In most cases.
Yeah.
In most cases, but that is a guarantee that, that allows the community to police their own behavior.
Anybody else?
Rich Walls, 2 Kind of comment on that. I mean, I got a bunch of them for my house, plot plans, but you know how hard it is to get a plot plan?
Just go to the office. And
Just go to the office, they got a copy of it.
So you can draw your own.
Yeah, they can make you a copy of your plot plan. The office has a copy of all of them.
So it don't have to be through somebody like.
Yeah, you don't have to go to county or anything like
Okay,
that.
all right, that's fine.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. That's a good question.
All right. Well, this other thing is, we've got this child molester thing I'm bringing back up. What can we do about keeping these people off?
What do you want us to do?
Set something up where they can, it's been done in Utah, the only state, never done in any other state yet.
Did you look at the last board meeting?
I listened to it,
Did you?
yeah.
So did you hear the,
She did, yeah, she's right. They can buy a house here. Yes, they can live here. She's right. Can I ask you a question? Sure. But is there any law saying that it can't be put in the bylaws, they can't be at the pool? Is there any law saying they can't be?
So I spoke to this at that meeting. Indiana has addressed this in the Court of Appeals, and there's 2 cases that speak to it directly. And it has nothing to do with this law or this bill that you've passed around to us from Utah. So it's already been addressed here, and I spoke to it at that meeting. We can't specifically keep them off of HOA property here without potentially violating their constitutional rights. So Indiana law has spoken to it, and we can't.
So you're saying, buying a house here, I'm talking about keeping them away from the kids at the pool. We can't keep them off. You're saying that ruling you're talking about right now, and I'll look it up.
There's two different
Supreme Court?
cases that speak, the Indiana Supreme Court, the Indiana Court of Appeals, and I referenced them in our last meeting. And they both speak to 2 different situations in 2 different communities, and they have 2 slightly different results. But frankly, in our community here, if we go by Indiana Supreme Court precedent, we cannot specifically restrict them from the community property.
And that's in the Indiana Supreme Court, you said?
There's 2 specific cases, I can't spout them off the top of my head. I'd have to look at the minutes or look at my computer, but they talk specifically to that. One was in a community, I think, towards the north side of Indy, and one was in Plainfield. And in Plainfield, the Court of Appeals and then the Supreme Court affirmed that they could be kept out of certain recreational areas in Plainfield, but that was because the sex offenders have other options. If we restrict them from community property here, according to the Indiana Supreme Court, that would be effectively banning them from the community. So I can't, like I said, I don't have it in front of me, the cases, but it's been addressed multiple times here in case law. And in Indiana, that's the case law that is the precedent set, so that's what we have to go by. Even though Utah has this bill that they have brought before their legislation, that has nothing to do with what we can do here. We have to go by precedent here.
Presidents, yeah, you go by presidents, yeah.
So that would be, I have the Supreme Court of Indiana has a Walls versus State decision, which has, as I stated before, a long 7-factor analysis that determines whether or not we could restrict individuals on the sex offender registry, sex or violent offender registry, from property through an HOA rule. So it's a 7-factor analysis.
Well, now, there's different, now, I understand what you're saying, and I'll look it up. You're saying property, from buying a property.
No.
Okay, you're saying from.
Accessing community property.
Okay, and that's how it's stated, okay, all right, that's what I want to make sure, I want to look it up. It's stated that way, okay. Then how can we do something to keep them off the board, where they can't run for office? Can we do that?
That would be a change in, I think, the covenants, and at this point,
Because a member in good standing can
Right.
run for the board, and if they're paying their dues, then they can run for the board, I'm pretty sure.
And I can't imagine, as close-knit as this community is and as easily accessible that their pictures and their names and their addresses are on these websites that we all have our own responsibility to review. I can't imagine that they would ever get the required votes, because even if it doesn't require a vote from the community, say they're the only candidate, we as a board, we also have to vote them in. And there has never been in the history of this board, a board that would have done that.
Well, I'm not saying you would, I'm just saying, can we put it in?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What's this all about?
Well, it came up, so I bring it up. It came up on the thing I brought up.
It came
We
up,
got
it came
child
up, wait a minute, it came
on
up
the
how?
Facebook page.
Well, who cares? Yeah, I know you do.
Okay, and-
What my question is, what fact in this neighborhood has gotten you to bring this to the board?
Well, I got grandkids and they go to the pool. And I don't want to sit there and have to worry about them going to the bathroom and some child molester come in there and stick their finger up their ass, if you want to get that straight about it. So who's going to be held liable when they do that? Is this board going to be held liable for letting them on there? Because it can be,
How?
for not putting in some rules.
Alyssa, let me ask
But if the Indiana rule, if the Indiana Supreme Court ruled on that, I'm wrong. I'll state that, if they rule that way.
Alyssa, let me ask you a question. A convicted child molester, is it within their stipulations not to be around a place where children are?
Not necessarily, they can't reside or sometimes work.
But they can't go to a facility that's got children?
That is not necessarily part of the sex
Okay.
offender registry.
So your concern, let me try to understand this. Your concern is what if, right? You
They've
don't,
done it once.
excuse me?
They've done it once, but they've been convicted, so not what if.
Yeah,
It's when.
there's people that are on meth in this community that have walked in other people's houses. It happens. Those things happen. I guess what I'm after is, we've identified the laws, we've identified the statutes, we've identified what can or cannot be done within this community. I guess what I'm after is there someone out here we're afraid of right now? Have you seen a sex offender at the pool?
What I'm saying is, we know there's 2 or 3 living out here, okay?
Yeah.
First of all,
They're all over.
And the first thing they do is they take the value of homes around there down, and that's a proven fact.
Well, they're losing because our value went up 42%. They're losing.
That's called the times, that's called the times.
No, they're losing.
No, that's called the times.
No, you got your facts wrong.
No, that's because.
Property values have gone up 42%.
Because there's not enough homes to sell is why. If there was too many homes, prices would go up.
Okay, your logic is over my head.
I don't want to argue, Paul. We're working on trying to do something.
You are working on it.
All right, I'm working on trying to keep kids safe around here.
I think-
I remember hearing that.
I think
Trying to
you,
keep kids safe around here. I remember hearing about that somewhere on this board.
What are you saying?
Huh?
What are you saying?
That we put rules in effect here to keep kids safe out here.
so what you're doing is 2 months ago, or no, 3 months ago, you accused the board of taking money to bring a restaurant in.
No, I never
Now you're
accused-
accusing the
I never
board.
accused them.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, now you're lying. I put in that statement that I wasn't accusing people. Maybe you don't know what that means. People sit down and they make a deal, sign a contract, shake hands. You know, you shake hands on the money on the deal.
Okay.
Okay.
You're a lot smarter than me because,
You're saying money exchanged
I won't talk anymore.
hands? Are you saying money
Well, have a seat
exchanged
then.
hands?
No.
For
this
that
is my
I'm
meeting.
saying contractors sit up there and talk.
Excuse me.
They will and deal, and they shake hands.
Excuse me.
It's all about money.
Excuse me, Richard, if you don't want to talk to me
I won't
anymore,
talk to you anymore.
sit down, because this is my meeting.
You know what?
I have
Members,
one,
public streets.
comment about the sex offender issue, that everybody can, if they feel that it needs to be dealt with, how you can deal with it. Go to the legislature
Yeah, you go beat the
and
hell out of
enact
them for being there, what you do.
change.
We're good. All right, anybody else? Yes, Jan?
I have a good thing to share.
Hi, Jan. How are ya?
I want to tell you about the Putnam County Community Foundation Share the Dream.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna give each 2 flyers. Special thanks to Rick Miller for designing this
You
specific
don't need to,
to
they're double-sided.
that there.
There you go.
You get 2 sides of it.
Thank you.
I think he's gonna be putting it in. Well, I have one for you and one to share, okay? Because coming up October 10th to the 17th, the Putnam County Community Foundation has selected there's probably 25 scholarship organizations that have not met the endowment $25,000 needed to grant 1 scholarship per year, okay? So, we are with our Charlie Beard Memorial Heritage Lake Scholarship Program. We are not there yet, and so we're doing a big appeal, hopefully, to the Heritage Lake community, and we need your support and your help to kind of get the word out and to also help us financially if you can. You all represent, or at least go to different POA committee meetings, and perhaps committees have funds that they can share and help us out. But right now, we're trying to reach that $25,000 so that we can help plan for the future, because right now, the fundraising that we're doing are based on garage sales, and we used to have a breakfast and that kind of thing. But Helnack, well, as you can look at it, the first $250 that is raised is matched by the foundation. If you look at the backside, it says that there is another $35,000 that is going to be spread through the different organizations, the committees that are also scholarship groups that are trying to reach that $25,000, because they also want to give, they will also be eligible to grant a $1,000 scholarship from the investments made by that money. Okay? So we already know that we have the first match, that we can do that, because all the funds from the garage sale and food concessions these last few days will come from Helnack, and actually will go to the scholarship fund. And also the monies from the garage sale, also in the Springs, will also go to the foundation also for that. So there's about $4,000 right there that will be turned in. But we still, even with those funds, will not reach the $25,000 yet. So as you can see from this, it's very specific as to when the monies can be received. It can only be received to the foundation during that week of October 10th to the 17th. It has to be postmarked, any checks have to be dated that. But the neat thing about what Rick set up for us is that on the backside at the bottom, it's very easy. People can use the QR code to go straight to the foundation. Our committee, and Tom, you can speak up anytime if you think I'm missing anything. He and Alan Zirkle and I are the committee. And we don't handle any funds. All the funds go straight to the foundation that we raise anyway. And I will say that Steve and I are already going to pledge and give $500 towards that. So right now, again, we're at $4,500, but we're still not there yet. So I'm hoping with the flyer that you have for you, if you can help us in any way, your committees can help. And if you know of any business people, any other other businesses, organizations, companies that have a commitment here or a connection in some way, that you'll please share that with them, and perhaps they can get on the bandwagon with us during that week. Didn't you have any questions? Maybe need to pause and see.
I would add one small thing,
Go ahead.
maybe not small. Because they go through the Putnam County Foundation, any donations you give, and this QR code is very specific to this scholarship fund, but any donations you give are tax deductible. Okay.
Because it is the foundation's a
Yes.
501c3.
Right.
So any funds that are received are.
So what's the deadline, Jane?
Pardon?
What's the deadline for when the 25,000 has to be raised?
Well, there isn't.
Okay.
Because any monies that come in they're earmarked for the Heritage Lake Charlie Beer Memorial Scholarship, will go towards that. But this time, just that 1 week, if we raise a lot of monies towards the 25,000, we will get a bigger share of the $35,000 pot. So there are several organizations, scholarship organizations, we're all trying to get as big a share as we can from the $35,000 pot. And so that's the key right there.
Do we have this up on the website somewhere?
Yeah, you can find it on my website, and I'm gonna share these flyers with April to put it on the POA website.
Cool.
Yes,
We'll do our best then.
and I hope too that, and I think Rick will include it in the highlights for October, but it is very specific, everything has to come in during that timeframe. It's very specific to that. Yeah.
Jan, on the back page on item 2,
Okay?
the matching is got a time frame. Okay, so the community, the foundation will match a donation. So I guess this year it's up to $250.
Well, they're not going to match every one, they match the first $250.
Yeah, so
Because
that
we
has,
already know we have.
yeah, okay. So then anything following that is a proportional.
Yeah. it
And
goes
so
through.
it's very, very, very beneficial to do it in the deadline that they have here, because that's the only donations that'll be considered to be eligible for the match, okay? So when I do it, I was on the foundation board, so I know. When I do it, it's gonna be between Tuesday, October the 10th and October the 17th. That's when you wanna give your money, so that you
Absolutely.
can build up that match opportunity, okay? So we used to do it there, we used to give a lot of money to the first 3 places, and then everybody else didn't get anything. So we changed that a long time ago, but this is different yet, so this
And
is good to know.
Tom has offered, he's gonna walk checks from here to the foundation that week, because I'm already have gone to Florida, so my checks are gonna be in his hands.
Oh, you can do it online.
Yes, you can do it online.
Online's a really good way.
Yeah.
But people can drop off checks at the office here too, right?
I'm sorry, what?
People can drop off checks here to the office
Well,
as well,
that's
right?
if we can have Tom willing to pick them up and walk them in, that would be awesome also. It's interesting too to share some connections. Jeff's wife Judy has been on our selection committee for a few years. Rick Olson's daughter has received one of the scholarships in the past. And the scholarships, we're trying to do 2 a year. So if we can get to the 25,000, that's one guaranteed, which is awesome, one of the 2. And then the community, Heritage Lake Community Supports can support the second one in the annual POA when the dues are collected. That's one of the choices of lines, and many of you probably given additional monies to go towards scholarships. Go ahead.
The money that we donate never goes away.
That's right.
It's an endowment. And that endowment sits there and grows interest. And they have a tremendous firm out of Virginia that manages the funds. So in 20 years, that fund will more than double. And it will be more than any donation. It'll more than double and be worth more than the original fund was. So it grows. What you spend money on is the interest that it occurs over that year. And some of it goes back into the fund to make it grow more. And the interest that you get to spend for scholarship, that's why $25,000 is key.
Yeah, because right now, the money that's in there
is growing.
Well, and plus 2,000 a year has been going away, right? So if we can get to the 25, we're not losing money anyway because we're investing in the future. But that's 2,000 less than we, because we award the scholarships. And that's been happening since 2009. And it's a wonderful way for us to invest in the future because we're not all going to be here way down the road, and it still can continue. And you know what, those of you that knew Charlie Beard, he was one of the first people that started this whole thing. He would be very proud of what we're doing in the planning for the future idea with this. So the more that we can share with others, and if you know any company, individuals that would be willing to donate, plus all of us, I think that'd be awesome.
When I first gave Jan just a little bit of help with this stuff,
A lot of help.
I found it revealing that the Putnam County Foundation supports something north of 140 different causes.
Yeah.
And this Share the Dream program, they've limited it to something like 25.
Yeah, it's everybody, it's
So
the organizations that haven't gotten to the 25,000.
So those 25 are
good.
competing for this $35,000 pot.
Yeah.
Now, this QR code will work any time of day or year. So if you miss the opportunity by the end of day 17th, you can still donate and they'll happily take it.
Sure.
But the 10th to the 17th is just critical to the funds that they're competing for.
I'll also say that Jan does a wonderful job in announcing the scholarship winners when you go to the schools and talking about Heritage Lake and how much good they've done for the community. So I appreciate that too.
Well, it's an important, for the future, for our young people that are here.
Thank you, Jan.
Oh, you're welcome.
That's great.
Thank you.
That's really good.
And if
Wonderful.
you need more flyers for any groups, if you're meeting, I have more, we can get more from Rick, whatever.
All right. Anybody else? Forum? I'll take a motion.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? All right. I guess we're leaving. No need for an executive meeting unless somebody